Everyone, thanks for joining us. We're going to start in a couple. We're going to let people come in, and we're going to try to get as many people before we start. Probably start at 5 after the hour.
All right, David, for 2:05.
We're ready.
Going?
Yes.
Oh. Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday, August 18th. We're so excited to be able to spend some time with you. I cannot believe that we're getting close to the start of the fall 2020 semester already. So thank you for taking some time with us. And just a little bit of tech before we're going to introduce ourselves, but some of you we recognize you may be new to a Zoom platform. We are using Zoom Webinar, which allows you to see David and I, as well as our screen, and then use the Q&A function. So if you'd like to share questions with us, we have a wonderful group of students and staff behind the scenes trying to answer as many of those as they come in. And you can answer those, you can submit those anonymously as well if that's of interest to you. So just wanted to give a little bit of tech support on that. We will also be recording the session and placing it on the New Student Services website in the coming days as well. All right, David, do you want to start with saying hello?
Sure. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Ortega, and I'm the Director of Parent Services and Family, Cal Parents and Families, which is going to be our new name starting this year. We want to be a little bit more inclusive with the title and make sure that everyone feels welcome being a part of the Cal Parents and Families, being part of the Golden Bear family. So this is great. Thank you for joining us. My name is David Ortega, like I said, and I have been on campus now 28 years. I've been here 28 years working, and then prior to that, I was a student at Cal, and proud alum, and also a proud parent. My wife and I, we had our oldest child went to Cal and graduated in 2018. So I find myself in these questions and in these issues that we talk about, and I've been in a very intimate way dealing with these types of issues. So it's all good. We want to make sure we have you relaxed and understand that this is a process, and we're going to all get through it, and it's all good. And that we here at the university, not just me, not just Micki, not just in the things that we do, but everybody here is inclined to help your student have the greatest experience on the Cal campus. This is not a place where we're just going to try and run them into the ground, or, you know, it's not just to get a job. It's a learning process, and we're interested in making sure our students have the best learning opportunities. And in this day and age, it's safe in learning opportunities. So back to you, Mick.
Well, hi, y'all. Thank you, David. My name is Micki Antovich. I am the Assistant Dean of Students and Director of New Student Services. You may have seen me on a campus conversation, and you'll hear the line that I always say, and I say it because I believe it. My job is serving your students, and your students, this specific chunk of time that they're going through. It's such a unique time that they're transitioning from high school or community college to life at Berkeley, and there's a million things to go through that process. And we know in any sort of, even a normal year, there's a lot going on, from that transition of understanding our email culture at Berkeley, or how to get through academic advising, or how to join organizations, or probably the biggest issue, what do all those acronyms actually mean? We like those here. And I want to just also start by saying that we know that it's been really challenging, and this may not be how you or your students imagine this year, but we really want to start by affirming that the confetti fell on that screen when you open that offer for a reason, and your students are meant to be Berkeley students, and we are so excited to welcome them. And I can't say enough that even though things may not look the same, how proud I am to work at Berkeley right now, the amazing work and time and intention that folks have been putting in to making the experience a quality one of students being creative and outreaching and staying engaged is just incredible. And I know you probably have a ton of questions, and there's anxiety of what that will look like, but I hope there's a level of trust because the people here care deeply about your students. And we would not be doing this work long hours a day over weekends, rushing to get things ready if we didn't care about your students. I think it'd be an easy out to say, oh, we don't have a plan, we're gonna figure things out, which is probably why you've gotten a million emails. But it's because we wanna do the best thing. And part of that means doing a safe thing, but also the best thing by your students and letting them grow and connect and feel like Berkeley is their home. So we're really excited to be able to spend some time with you all today and hopefully put your mind at ease. We also know that y'all probably have a lot of logistic questions. And so I want to start with acknowledging that our first little bit of time, won't be talking solely about logistics. We'll end, we've got time for Q&As, but we want to acknowledge that there's a transition happening, not just for your student, but for you, your family, and we want to spend some time because it can be really easy with the forms and the emails and the deadlines to forget about the reality of what's going on right now. So David and I are thankful that you all are going to spend some time with us to process, to hopefully be able to celebrate this moment. And so I just want to give you all fair warning. There will be many campus partners that our team has worked with, from Cal Student Central to Billing to Student Learning Center, who have recorded videos. Those will be available this Thursday on our New Student Services website. We're still in the process of making sure all of those are fully captioned and ready for everyone. So that's why those will be posted on Thursday. And we will try to answer the logistic questions, but we also know that we have wonderful campus partners and experts who they are great at their job. So, all right.
Absolutely.
All right. Y'all ready for us to dive right in?
All right, let's do it.
All right. Wonderful. So we wanted to know who's here with us. There's over 400 of you. So we have a bunch of questions, and we know that you might be coming from all over and have so many different questions. So we're going to use the poll function. Maybe not something you all have done before, but I am going to launch a poll, and there's going to be 6 questions, and we're going to keep that open for about 2-3 minutes. And we want to be able to see, tell us a little bit about you and your students. We'll watch the votes roll in. David, do you have any game show music to play in the background? I didn't play.
Well, I do have some Cal band music in the background, but it's on a different app, so I can't get it right now.
Y'all don't want to hear me sing. My students have told me it's better for me not to. All right. Seeing the votes good. Oh my goodness, look at y'all go. coming in. We got about 70% of folks who have voted. I'm gonna give a couple, 1 minute left. Should be able to get y'all.
No 6 or more this year, Micki.
No, I haven't scrolled down. Well, it looks like we have to keep being the one to speak. That was always my favorite. We just hand off the microphone to whoever has had. What was our most? 8?
The most we had was, this was the 8th person that they had sent away to college.
That is incredible.
And they're broke.
That too. And they're tired. Probably broke, tired, and ready to lead this session next time. All right, we're getting folks coming in. All right, we'll give you about 30 more seconds. All right, I'm going to close this up and then we'll be able to share with you all, see who else is joining us. All right.
All right.
Can you all see? Let's see where folks are from. Northern California, we get the large majority just a few miles away from us. And I know David will always articulate the definition of a northern always is up for discussion, right?
Yes. Oh, and we have 12 people from outside the United States. That's fantastic.
Oh, we're so excited to have you all join us. Thank you.
70 from other states within the union. Fantastic.
Wonderful. A good chunk of Southern California folks. And I know for all of at least those in California, we're all managing the heat wave together right now.
95% are parents of first years.
Wow, that's a huge number. Well, if you are one of the parents of our transfers or a supporter of a transfer, know that about 1/3 of our incoming class are transfer students. So your transfer students are not alone. Okay, and let's see down here. Almost all parents, and we've got some others. I'd love to know what other is, but almost all parents. Very cool.
All right.
Cool. This is our
one person. This is their 4th. One person sending their 4th child off to college.
Congratulations. Wow, 70% of this is their first. That's incredible. We've actually learned that a good chunk of the students in this incoming class they're actually the first generation college student in their entire family. So it's a very, very big deal. It's a common thing at Berkeley. So maybe that applies to your student as well. Wow, 70% of y'all. How you feeling? Okay. We'll get you through it. Hopefully you're feeling more excited and ready by the end of our kind of chat. All right, and we got folks from all of you. Wow, this is really great to know.
50-50 on in Berkeley.
Yeah.
Love it.
So that's out of those joining in here. I think though about only about a quarter of our incoming class is going to be living in the university residence halls. I think that's the most accurate number right now. So it's going to be very common for students to choose to stay at home or just to not be in Berkeley. So know if that's your student's case, that they're not alone in that. And then if they are choosing to come up to Berkeley, there's going to be some support systems that we can share with them as well.
And Micki, I think there's a question right there about just the people who are coming to campus. And so if we just want to let them know that, you're going to get an extensive email from housing telling you exactly what to do. And so please adhere to those standards and the process. Like you're going to have to get tested prior to getting your keys at move-in. So know that, read exactly where it's at. It's at the Tang Center. That might not mean much because you haven't been here in a while, but know where that's at and know that that's going to happen. And then once you've tested and checked in, you're going to be quarantined. So you're going to have to stay on the property. So know that it's nothing about, we don't want to be, we don't want to push parents out or anything, but we do need the parents that after they have checked in, they need to stay, and parents are then asked to leave, and maybe they could you can still FaceTime over a remote dinner or something like that. I know parents sometimes we used to have a happy hour after move-in, and a lot of parents would just exhale, and I really believe that that's good for you to do, is to go and to talk and actually talk to your student about how they're doing, but just exhale and make sure that they know that they're safe and ready to start their new path.
And students won't be forced to stay in their room. They will be able to leave to go get meals. All of our dining will be grab and go. And this may seem, maybe concerned, this seems pretty extreme. It's one of the things that we're recognizing, that a lot of students are coming together, and we hold the responsibility both for our students, our staff, and the city of Berkeley to make sure that we're doing everything that we possibly can to keep our folks safe, in the hopes that we can all come together in person as soon as possible. All right, keep those questions coming. Y'all get making them work for it in the background. Love it. Okay, and then one of our favorite questions: 10%. David, are 10% are alumni who are joining you in that. I am not a Berkeley alumni, but I love and appreciate the support that comes, and the knowledge of, oh, I've also had to sit in Dwinell Hall in those same chairs. Some of you probably might recognize that photo that we have there. Wonderful. Okay, so we're going to jump ahead.
So when you look at this, it's a partnership. We want to make sure that you guys understand, all parents, students, staff members, faculty, the university as a whole, it's a partnership. We're not here to tell you to totally let go of your student and then they have to do this all by themselves. We're saying that there are ample opportunities for your student to learn, and from a lot of different people is how they're going to be learning. And so we want to make sure that transfers, that you feel welcome here, that you're taking advantage of the transfer center. We want to make sure freshmen are communicating with their professors and making sure that they're getting information from their RAs on process and what have you. Going through orientation, and Micki will talk about this later about the Golden Bear orientation, they're going to learn a lot about Cal. They're going to have so much information. However, when it really comes down to it, they need to ask people to where to go, what to do, and how to get along. And once they do, we have a lot of great students who can actually jump in line and understand what to do from that point forward. However, this is a partnership. So when they call back home and they're asking you for information, it's a valid question. And sometimes they just don't know what they don't know, and you guys can help them out. So know that we're in this together. We're not here to just shun parents or to have the faculty be the only people talking to a student. This is a learning experience, whether you're in the classroom or you're walking back to your residence hall, or if you're at home and you need a question to ask your professor or your GSI, your graduate student instructor. Those are all people to help you. And if we can help you at Cal Parents and Families, or if Micki can help you at New Student Services, we're all here for you. All right. Did we do, yeah, so transition for the whole family. Oh boy, this is everybody's going to be going through this. So as you noticed, when your student is away, if they're going away, everybody's going to feel that. The presence of a student is, and they're such big, they've got a lot of big personalities who are Berkeley students, and they're going to be felt. The parents are going to feel it. The siblings are going to feel it. Your grandmother is going to feel it, that doesn't have easy access like they used to. Your uncles, your cousins, and even the people you see on a daily basis, they are all having this withdrawal from the student. Now, if a student is decided to be remote and stay home, they are going to hunker down and get a lot of work done. So it's going to change how this relationship is going to, how the transition with the family is gonna work, because you might think they're just hanging out in their room, but they're really getting a lot of work done, or trying to talk to a professor, or work on class projects, or trying to find their new classmates online and in a virtual setting. So it's going to change, and just know that it's nothing that is it's going to be bad. It's just something that's how it's going to change. And so your students are going to learn a new way of learning, but it's going to be very immersive. So know that there's a transition for the whole family.
And you may start seeing change now in your student. I think that's the other piece too, is even if they are staying with you all, they may start trying to separate, maybe they've already been doing this, of wanting to feel like I'm a Berkeley student, and separating and maybe acting differently in an effort to feel like they're trying to recognize and honor the change that is happening right now.
Yeah, and watch those pets too. Sometimes those pets have a keen sense of who's not in the room.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, y'all, one of our slides are a little off, so I apologize. Let me go back right here. Thank you.
Okay, so the year 2020, oh God, what does that mean? So many things going on this year. And this is not ideal for what everybody would like to have as one, as an orientation, and two, as a start of your academic career at the university. However, it still is what it is. It is the year 2020, and we are all Berkeley. Your students are all Berkeley students now, and this is their new identity. This is where they're going, and this is how they're going to learn. I guarantee you that our faculty and our GSIs and all our staff members have been working tirelessly to make it as smooth a transition as possible. So we're here everyone's here to help your student, whether they're on campus remotely, or at your house, or even if they decided to live somewhere else but they're still remote learning. It's going to be, we're going to do our best to make sure that they are engaged and in the process, of being a Cal student. Yeah, Nick?
Right, yeah, all right. And so we just wanted to spend some time of just acknowledging that change is hard. I think that's clear by the world and how everything that we're experiencing right now, that many of us are having to change how we interact with our family members, with how we go to work. Many of our students and family members have been impacted, that they're having individuals being sick or losing jobs, and there's change is incredibly difficult, and you can feel that. And so that there's often times where you can be incredibly excited by change. And so what we're hoping for is that this change, the time for your students to start becoming a Berkeley student, can actually be a change to celebrate. And something to really be proud of, and to know that that is coming, and that we're really wanting to acknowledge that that's happening for your students. But it can happen in a lot of different ways. So first is expecting it. I think we all know that most of us don't like dealing with change, but it's easier to do when we know it's coming. And for all of us, August 21st, which is the start of Golden Bear orientation, and August 26th, which is the first day of class, is coming. So anything you can do to just acknowledge, like, this is a change that I know is coming, especially for your students, and it is something then that I can embrace. So there are going to be some highs and lows of it. And knowing that half of you who are joining us are actually going to have your students up here in Berkeley, and half of you all are having your students stay at home with you, those things can look dramatically different. And so we're going to try to speak to both of those unique experiences. So for those who are having students up here in Berkeley, I think there can be highs of the excitement of them still being able to unload the car and be able to decorate their room, but also then the lows of they're not going to be living with you anymore, and perhaps they've been doing that their whole life, or just the inevitable uncertainty that comes with not having your student with you at all times. If you all are having your students stay home with you, it could be the highs of like, oh, I'm so excited. They finally have something to do. Perhaps they've been just sitting on your couch all summer. Now they might sit on your couch and just do something different. So they could still be sitting on your couch. But the lows could be that there's sadness and not being able to come up to Berkeley. But I do want to affirm that whatever choice you and your family made is the right choice for you all. So we are not here to tell you should have made one choice or another. Whatever choice you all made is the best choice for you. And with both of them, it can be difficult. But we want to also focus on that celebration. And so the subtle transformations that I alluded to earlier of your students. So if you are planning to come up to campus, they might start acting a little bit differently on the drive up. They could still start getting, pandemic or not, students are still embarrassed by their parents. So that we are fully prepared that's still to happen. You all will ask way more questions than you would, and that's okay. But one thing we want to make sure is that whether your students are coming up to Berkeley, living in the residence halls, living in a private residence, or staying with you all, that we want to celebrate this. It is something that they have been working so hard for. And it's a moment that's come, and we want to be able to celebrate. We'll be doing that as UC Berkeley through Golden Bear Orientation. Faculty and staff, we are so excited. The start of the semester brings change for us too. And I think, to be honest, that as a university, we're excited to move forward. We've been planning for a long time, and the hope of having this new class and the continuing students join us again to start fresh is a change that I know I'm really looking forward to. So I'm excited that your students get to be a part of the entrepreneurship and innovation that happens this upcoming semester.
So the way we like to exemplify how the role changes as a parent as you're starting to send your student off, and we like to say, hey, be a coach, be the coach. So what does that actually mean? Up here in the photos that you see, you have all these fantastic coaches, and they're all wonderful, won national championships. And the one I always love to highlight is top left, Terry McKeever. Terry McKeever is our women's swim coach, and she's the first lady to be the Olympic swim coach, and also she's also the first woman to win the national championship in women's swimming in the NCAA Division I. She's just a phenomenal person. I've known her her whole career at Berkeley, and the thing is that she loves recruiting to Berkeley because it's a Berkeley identity that she's looking for. She's looking for independent students, people who are self-starters, people who can go and do things and explore. They can explore their own not just identity, but how they're an athlete, how they swim differently. Can they utilize a different approach? So all of that she's learned through practice. She's in the practice as a practice coach, and this is where we say be a coach. So when you're a practice coach, like Terry will do, and Justin and all our other great coaches, during practice you're in the weeds with your student, with your athlete, if you're an athletic coach as well, and you are working on everything from what you're thinking, how you're seeing stuff, what your arm does, what your leg does, all this great stuff. But when it's time for competition, and this is when we say our parents are now going to be a competition coach. Because when you're in practice, you're in the weeds with everything. But when it's competition time, we are allowing our student, our player, to go out into their competition field and do what they've learned. They've got to learn how to do it on their own and not look back to the sidelines. I always ask parents, have you ever seen a kid at a soccer game always looking back to their parent, or the coach yelling from the sideline and the kid's getting distracted, doesn't know whether to listen to the coach or get engaged with the competition? Well, we're asking, hey, allow your student to be in that competition and to do their very best out there on their own. And what's going to happen is they're going to fall down. But you know what? They're going to pick themselves up and keep going, because that's what they've been taught to do. That's what you've taught them to do. There's a lot of great experience and a lot of great teachings that are happening at the practice level that will carry your student through as on the competition field. And not to say that this is a competition, it kind of is, but it's not no holds barred. So it's actually a friendly competition, and they're going to do great, but they are going to fall down and they're going to have to pick themselves up. No one's going to wake them up out of bed to get them to go to class or to jump online with their Zoom, although you might, but they need to learn how to do that on their own. And I think you've taught them well enough, and they're going to be motivated to get that done. So understand that, go from being the practice coach to being a competition coach. And sometimes them learning the hard way is the best way for them to not make that mistake again. Oh, hey, yeah, there we go. And how are you going to communicate that? Well, communication is the answer. You know, you need to make sure that your student knows what everything that you've given to them in the practice era of your parenting is that you've set expectations for them. You have a peace of mind plan. You've set all this up for them, and they don't quite understand it right now, but as they go through this process, they're going to totally understand this. So you're going to need to talk to them as an adult from this point forward, more as an adult and less as a child. So when you're asking a student, hey, go do this, as opposed to, hey, what would you do in this situation? Your student's they're going to be a lot more independent than you think, and they're going to understand where they need to go. So check in on a regular basis and make sure that their communication plan, you have a communication plan for those students who are going to campus. Make sure you have a time when you guys can really sit down and have a discussion, whether it be, in between classes or at night or in the morning or what have you. But make sure that they have a buy-in that they're going to communicate with you. And for the students at home, I would suggest having a time when you guys get together so you're not imposing on their time when it doesn't look like they're doing anything, but they really are engaged in some stuff that's going on campus. So make sure that you have time when you guys can chit chat, whether it's during dinner or whether it's on the weekends or what have you. But just make sure that they understand that you're trying not to be in their business, but you still want to have a conversation with them and see how they're doing, just to check in, just to make sure you're checking in with them. Think anything else?
I think a key thing, especially for those students who are staying at home, the schedule looks dramatically different for a college student. So a lot of you are first-year parents. So the schedule of a Berkeley student will look very different than your student in high school. So in high school, they would have been in classes for multiple hours of the day and maybe a couple hours of studying at night. Depends on your high school experience. But for Berkeley, and this is what you'll see even for our transfer students, it still even looks different. You could be in class for just a few hours a week, but for every hour in class on Zoom or in a recording, expect a few hours of that to go into studying. So it may look different for you. You're like, wait a minute, I don't hear a professor talking. How are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Just want to affirm that it looks dramatically different. The life and the daily flow of a college student will look so different than that of a high school student, or even maybe transfer student, depending on what they were involved in their community college. A lot of our student organization events happen very late at night. Our students love late night things. So I also think it's fair to have conversations with your students, almost a little bit kind of like a roommate agreement. My husband and I have had to have conversations. We're both working from home, negotiating like who gets to go to the bathroom when and things like that. And our students are navigating that. For many of them, their space in their room was their relaxing space. And they're trying to have to balance, how do I make that my relaxing space, plus my study space, plus my get to know people space. And that's not an easy thing. I don't want to downplay the work that takes and the mind shift that takes. But I just do want to share with y'all is the daily schedule looks different. And so maybe you have a conversation this week and then you schedule one a week out. So it's already on the books. So you're not waiting for conflict to happen and to be able to recognize that it will be different and things will adjust as they get the flow of what it's like to be a Berkeley student.
Hey, Micki, we have a lot of questions about the fall, and I know that everybody got an email from Cal parents, and the students have been getting emails from lot of different of the student affairs, as well as, you know, a lot of on-campus departments. So make sure you're checking in on the FAQs for student affairs. It's sa.berkeley.edu, and then it's the COVID fall 2020 question and answers. But they have every scenario that you can imagine is there, and they can answer your question. Okay. So if you're looking for any of that, you can look right on that on the sa.berkeley.edu page. Go to the COVID 2020 FAQs, and they have every answer you can imagine. Okay.
And I believe there's links there to past emails sent out, so you can go back to see references. We know that your students may be getting a bunch of emails that you don't have access to as a parent or supporter. So
parents have been getting a good amount of the same emails. We've been sending them out for student affairs to our parents. So hopefully
David's taking care of y'all. You're all good. Okay. Wonderful. All right. I know we've got some questions that I know Dave and I were going to answer live, but we're going to go through a couple more slides and hopefully get to all of those and spend the end of our time really focusing on those questions. So a few more things, words of advice that we have for y'all is you may be wondering, like, again, how do I do this communication plan? What does that look like? And we're going to share with you a tool or a model of challenge and support. And this is the idea of each person needs a kind of a balance of challenge and support in their life in order to grow. If someone is challenged over and over and over again with no support whatsoever, eventually they will crumble. Conversely, if there's someone who's been supported, everything's been done for them their whole life, that first challenge, even if it's not you may not see it as a big challenge, could be drastically damaging to them. So we're looking at what does it mean and what role do you play in supporting your students? And my suggestion on this is you also know them best. And we see this a lot with our Berkeley students. They are the hardest on themselves, far harder than anyone else is. They're hard on themselves because they want to do so well. They want to make the world better. They want to do well in classes. And so maybe you're more of that support system of like, hey, you've got this. It'll be okay. Put yourself out there a little bit more. And you're not the only one. I think that's a huge message. And I've been hearing that from some students or parents of this fear that, oh, my student's the only one who's by themselves. My student's the only one who is staying home with us. And that truly is not the case. And we very much hope that during our time in Golden Bear orientation, which I'll talk about in a little bit, we're going to affirm to your students that whatever choice they make, they are not the only one going through those things. And I think that you all can be the cheerleaders for them. Conversely, if they're the person who is just so like, oh, it's all going to be fine. I don't actually need to listen to any professor. I don't need to even watch the recording of class. I don't need to go to orientation. What could they possibly tell me? Maybe then you have that conversation of choosing to be engaged, taking advantage of the opportunities, reaching out. As David mentioned, if your students are on campus, no one's knocking on their door. Maybe if they're still living at home, you are knocking on the door. Maybe stop doing that on the first day, see how they handle things. Berkeley students, they learn how to use their voice. They learn how to ask for support. They learn how to engage and navigate. And I actually think that leads them to be really incredible individuals and contributors to society after they graduate, because they know what they're looking for and they know how to navigate complex systems. And so that's a really big skill that we're hoping they're learning, and it will only serve them after this time. Doesn't mean it will be perfect and easy, but one of the messages we're going to share during Golden Bear orientation is the likelihood is there's always someone available to support you. It's, do you realize that that resource is there and have you reached out? And so we're really going to hope that we instill that in them, and they're going to see that modeled in their orientation leaders and in the support that we give them during that time.
Yeah, along those same lines, Micki, we talk to the Career Center a lot as parents and helping with their programs and what have you, and allowing them to send out information to parents. And one of the things that the Career Center has always said is that when the recruiters come to Berkeley to recruit, they're coming to gain access to our students, because not just because it's Berkeley, but it's because when they tell our Career Center, they're the ones we don't have to sit there and tell what to do every minute of the day. They are self-starters. They know what they're doing. They have learned how to work independently of somebody telling them what to do, and learning how to do stuff on their own. I just got off of a Zoom call with our with the platform the Skydeck. with Skydeck. And Skydeck is an incubator, a business incubator, and it is a phenomenal program. And there are so many people trying to get in with our students. And that's because they learn how to be independent. That's because they learn how to work very hard on their own with their friends and with their teammates, be good teammates, and to come to fruition, make the projects come to fruition. So making each class come to fruition and doing the best that they can. So know that there's a reason why kids want to be independent when they're on our campus. So it's really cool to watch when you go from as a freshman to a senior. And I've seen that myself through my own student, and it's really rewarding.
All right, so our last words of wisdom before we will jump into the questions. I know the team in the back has been answering all those as they come in, but we want to encourage you all to still start celebrating and to start college now. And part of that means maybe marking the occasion. If you are going to be coming up to campus, is still celebrating, decorating the car, whatever it may be. And I know that there's a lot of anxiety and fear that could be coming from y'all because of concerns of, I can see questions about when do I find out roommate or what does sequester mean, all of those things, but still to be able to celebrate that moment. If your student is still staying home, again, I'm saying this with the example that many of you all are parents of first-year students, not transfer students. What did you do to celebrate graduation or prom at home? Could you do some of those similar things? Maybe it's a special breakfast on the first day. I don't know, but do something to just mark the occasion and celebrate. And another thing that we always tell all parents, supporters, partners, siblings is your students don't know what you haven't told them, but know that you are likely the voice in their head. You have put so much time and energy in supporting them and getting them to this point. You are a part of this journey and you continue to be, even the role looks slightly different as they move forward. But maybe they don't know about that. Do they know how proud you are? Do they know how you've watched them grow and challenge? So we encourage you all to write it down, either send them an email or write a letter, do something to actually say what it means for you and for them to start this incredible experience. I know David even did the same thing for his son how many years back now is that? We won't say dates. So. All right. All right, we're gonna jump in. We're gonna kind of switch gears a little bit to some logistic pieces, try to get through a bunch of your questions. I'm gonna share one little piece here. David is gonna talk a bit about Cal Parents. I'm gonna do a brief overview of Golden Bear orientation, and we're gonna try to get to as many questions as you all are able to give to us. So first thing, and I'm sure some of this isn't new to many folks, is the FERPA, which is the Family Education Right to Privacy Act. And we do want to share about this with you all. As you may have heard of this, is when you have called on behalf of your student or tried to submit a ticket or reached out, that a campus department has said that we're maybe not able to talk with you about everything because your student's record is private to them. No matter their age, it is private information, which is why we encourage often, even when our office, I love when parents reach out. I also, part of my conversation will be, hey, where is your student a part of this conversation, and wanted to engage them there. So just recognizing that your student's information, including their records, enrollment, finances, all those things are generally protected. The same law applies to health. It's called HIPAA. There is a way, though, if you would like, your student would like to give you something we call delegated access to Cal Central. And this, if they are doing that setup, they can allow you access to one of three things: finances, academics, or finances and academics. So that's an enrollment piece. So know that that's something they're able to give to you all. They're also able to take it away without you knowing. So just always want to share that.
Yeah, and so you know, we like to make sure that we're here for you. The Cal Parents and Families program is we're here for you. And you know, we have 4 primary objectives basically. We're here to be the central resource, you know, connecting you to the campus. We're here to empower you with knowledge so that when your student calls home and says, hey, I don't know how to do this, and they're asking you how to do it, and you can say, hey, well, what do you think? And see if they know the answer, and then you'll know the answer because we've been sending you a lot of information, or you've asked that question already. So all good. You know, we invite parents to philanthropically support the university. This is the #1 public university for a reason. because it goes far and beyond in our philanthropic. We are out there, and people are donating, like all of our alums and all of our communities that are donating to the university, because it is important for the University of California, Berkeley, to be the top spot on the public institutions. So that's a fantastic way if you're offering and you have something you want to donate, by all means, go for it. We also offer volunteer opportunities for parents who want to join our Cal Parents Ambassador program. And that's a way to help parents talk to each other and also to help when there's things that come up and we need parents to speak to other parents because you've gone through that already. We're also, one of the things I want to say is that next Tuesday at this time, Micki and I, as well as some other parents, some Cal Parent Ambassadors, we're going to have a question and answer period. So if you want to ask specific questions, next week we can even do a longer Q&A period, but we're here for you. We just want to answer questions. We want to make sure you're secure in how you're engaging with your student as they go through this process, okay? The next one is just a couple of resources. The calparents.berkeley.edu website, email. We're answering that email. Philanthropy, that's the philanthropic web page, as well as our volunteer web page. You can sign up at any time. And if you have time, great. And if you don't have time, that's fine too. I've had parents that joined in Cal Day their kid's senior year, and they got so much out of that. And some that did it their freshman or sophomore years, and they have been with us for at least 3 or 4 years. And we have many of our parents who stay on for a year or two to help out because they just enjoy the Berkeley vibe, they enjoy the community, and they enjoy all the parents who are part of this process. So we're here for you, Cal Parents and Families. We're looking forward to seeing you on campus when we all can be on campus.
All right, so we're going to share a couple important dates. I'm going to leave this up here, and I'm going to use this time to just give you a little overview about Golden Bear orientation, just as I've seen a lot of questions about that and about what does that mean for your student for engaging in community. So Golden Bear orientation officially begins with programming this Friday. You may be wondering, what does that mean? What's in person? What's virtual? What does my student need to do? What's their schedule? The program for students is 100% virtual, even if they're living in the residence halls. If your student is living in the residence halls, we recognize that move-in got pushed to happen concurrently with Golden Bear orientation. And that decision was made after we made our Golden Bear orientation dates. We've been working very closely with our housing and residence life team. So one thing we've done is we have orientation leaders. We have 500 current students who have volunteered their time to support your student. We actually just got done with 6 days of training with them, all through Zoom, YouTube, so many different games, but they are so excited. It's actually the most amount of orientation leaders we've ever had. And your students are going to be in a small group led by 2 orientation leaders. Actually, right around 3 o'clock today, they should be getting an email from New Student Services, linking them to the schedule of events and introducing them and letting them know their group number. And tomorrow they'll get a personalized email from their orientation leaders introducing themselves and talking about how do they connect on Friday. Like I said, some of you might have students moving in and those days conflict. So we've actually paired orientation leaders who are moving into the residence halls themselves with groups who have similar move-in day, and the hope that they can adjust some of their schedules, their small group meetings, those live events to happen at different times. And they can just then commiserate together about that day, what it was like to say bye to family, what it was like to check in to move in today. Overall, though, we have made a lot of changes to Golden Bear orientation. It's very important for us that we serve 100% of students, whether they're first years, transfers, they're out of state, in-state, international, if they're living on campus or not. That's a very big priority of our team. And so one of the things that we made the decision to do is recognize that we wouldn't want them sitting on Zoom from 8 a.m. to midnight, or having 8 days of programming like we would if we were in person. So we made the shift, and you'll notice students will get access to a Golden Bear Orientation B course, which has a list of all the different events, including every day they're gonna have a small group event. There's gonna be socials, times with their college, but a lot of different things, social events and resources that are really gonna be flexible. And so rather than having them do things all day long, we're gonna give them the grace to be able to pick and choose what works for them. Because we know many of our students, maybe they're parents themselves or having to work or the internet stops working. So we're gonna be doing the work on the back end to make sure things are recorded, because there's also a lot going on. So we wanna give them grace to take things in. They're gonna have access to all of those same resources even after Golden Bear Orientation ends. And then one commitment that our team has made is to continue to serve this incoming class throughout this whole next year, because eventually some may come on campus, or we hope that there are some events that historically we've done in person that we would still really like to do. And so we will wait to see when students may be able to join us in the spring. I saw a lot of questions about students like, hey, is there housing in the spring? That deadline is October 1st, I believe. So you won't be able to hear for a while if you apply for spring housing, but there definitely are spaces depending on our a lot of that will depend on the safety and security of the city of Berkeley. We follow Berkeley Public Health. So they actually influence a lot of decisions on how many beds we're able to have and what expectations we have for students living in our residence halls. So the hope is that we get to open up more spaces once the spring semester starts. But that will be based on students and their behavior. Go, David, go.
Hey, sorry about that. And Micki, I just wanted to answer a couple questions that have come up. One is about the sequestering. Yes, after they check in, they're supposed to stay on campus or in the facility that where they're at. So just know that I don't think they can take off and go to dinner and come back, because then there's exposure issues and all of that. So no, so that's the question. That's that question. And the second question was the Cal One card. Are they getting a student ID card? Yes, you should actually go in and make sure that your student has sent in their picture, their appropriate picture, and filled all the information out. And that if a student is moving in actually onto the campus, they will get it at move-in, at their check-in. When they check in, they'll get their Cal One card, and then they also will get their Clipper card, I believe, or something like that.
If they're living in the city of Berkeley, the Cal One Card office is going to be working to allow students to schedule appointments. It's very important, though, that students aren't coming to campus just for their card, because that card is really just to show access to buildings and things like that. And there are other electronic ways that students can verify their enrollment. I'm actually working alongside the Cal One Card office to see if there's some creative ways we can work to mail out cards to all those other students, because we know your student wants to be able to show off their ID card. We've got another question here about Golden Bear Orientation and registration. So something that's big for us is by saying yes to Berkeley, you say yes to Golden Bear Orientation. So there is no registration that needs to happen. Your students have already been given access, will be given access to all the Golden Bear Orientation programs, similarly to the 2 online modules they've taken already this summer, Golden Bear Advising and Golden Bear Prep. The cost of the new student programming fee is $380, and that covers the online pieces, staffing salary, grants for students, exemptions, and all the programming. So that is the cost of all the things they've already done, as well as the multiple days of programming. And we also continue to host socials and ways to engage throughout the entire semester. So students will continue to see information from us. A point that I think we had a question of, what welcome events will there be for students who do move into campus? Knowing that there's that sequester period, is students in the residence halls will be getting to know their RAs, or residence assistants. So those are students who live in the residence halls, but all of that engagement in the beginning will be happening virtually while they sequester. So know that at this point there will be no in-person events until the hope is that we could at one point be able to have those, but that will be based on the California higher ed guidelines and the city of Berkeley giving those approvals. So that's just probably one important piece to know there.
One event that is going on, that's going to be starting next week, is Caltopia. Our Cal Rec Sports has always had this thing called Caltopia, which is in person and people would go to, but they've really dynamically changed it into a virtual opportunity for people to be engaged in. So if you're looking for something to do, if your student's looking for something to do, they're going to have, you know, games, they're going to have giveaways, they're going to have they're going to have, not raffles, but they're going to just give out prizes. And that's Caltopia. So if you look up that through our website, I'm sure you can find exactly, and they've gotten emails as well about it from Student Affairs. So it's just stuff to be engaged in. That'd be great.
We incorporated all those programs into Golden Bear orientation as well. So we really encourage students to be able to engage and enjoy that. Was a question too about if students are moving into the fall, they have to miss parts of orientation. Hope I clarified this. Again, we're hoping to work around schedules and readjust because we will be grouping students based on where they're living. So if they're living in the residence halls, they will be in a small group with other students in the residence halls. We group students though by first years and transfers. If your students are not living in the residence halls, one of the hopes, and I think things I had shared a few months back, is that we had wanted to be able to group students, again, first years and transfers, but by time zone. Unfortunately, we have asked that question of students, but won't have that data really until this Friday. And that's too late for us to be able to do our process to prep our orientation leaders and get schedules done. So if your student isn't living in the residence halls, those groups are not time zone specific, which is why we're working to record and have events that really go all day. But that's up to your student of how they choose to engage, whether they're on this time zone or a totally different one. So that's something that we had hoped to do, but aren't able to do that because of the data involved.
Oh, we're just about out of time, Micki, and I just wanted to make sure before we log out, I want to make sure that parents and families know that although this is a very interesting time and a different way of engaging with the campus, it's still your student's opportunity to be a Berkeley student and to be able to work with this campus and yourselves have an experience with this campus that we all love to share with you. So Cal is one of the best places around, and we want to share that with you. So enjoy all the opportunities you get, and you know, as we say, go Bears. Nick?
Go Bears. As David mentioned, we're going to have another Q&A section next Tuesday. Also hoping to get some work done to be able to summarize all these questions you all have asked. They've been really thoughtful, and put them together and to be able to share them on our website. But to know, we are so excited to connect with your students, and we know that they got into Berkeley for a reason, and we hope that over these next few days they're going to affirm that. And they're going to be Berkeley students because Berkeley is going to be looking for the solutions to all of the world's problems. So they're coming to a place that's going to ask them to try to solve all the world's problems, which feels heavy, but it's also a pretty incredible opportunity. I'm always thankful for the students I get to meet, and I cannot wait for the next couple of days for them, so they can feel that sense of excitement and community that we know is pervasive all over the Berkeley community, which is now all over the world. So thank you all so much. We can't thank you enough for spending some time with us, and go Bears.
Go Bears.